The first item up for order is going to be swearing in Chris and Stephanie Martin. Please stand, raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Stephanie Martin, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties as general board member of the Board of Education according to the best of my ability. Thank you. Next on the agenda is nominations for board president. Do I have any nominations for board president? John?
I'd like to nominate Coley. Yeah. President. Chair.
I'll second his nomination. So true to state that.
If you accept that, the nomination, I do. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to assume that since you nominated her, that you will first and second vote.
Yes.
And if you all would please vote.
Right.
Did it pop up for you, Stephanie?
I'm ready to vote myself.
Right, you probably should have
I'm sorry.
I'll abstain. Okay, and now I'm going to nominate you to the swearing in of board president. I state your name. I, Colleen Long, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York and the Constitution of the State of New York. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties as president of the Board of Education according to the best of my ability. And congratulations. Thank you, everyone, for accepting these wishes.
Okay, moving on. Recommended action, a motion to nominate as vice president of the board, but I'd like to ask first if there are any interested parties that would like to put their name forward for consideration.
I would.
You, Ryan? Is there anyone else? Then can I ask for nominations for the position of vice president?
I nominate Brian.
I'll second.
Just second it, Doug. That is John. Who's you? Okay, everybody will vote.
Stay. Myself.
Now let's start you then, Mr. Bailey. Right hand. I state your name.
I, Ryan Salas,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties as vice president
as vice president
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Okay, moving on to the first item, which is number 4, for the good of the cause. There doesn't seem to be anyone in our audience to address the board. Karen, is there anything on email? No. Under information for the public, there is a public content section that one could read, and there's also information under the executive content that hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at. Moving on to the consent agenda, it's a long list. Recommended action, approve the following items which are included in the consent agenda. 8A, Board of Education meeting dates, 2025, 2026. 8B, appointment of district officers. 8C, appointment of the following other positions. 8D, bonding of personnel. 8E, designations. 8F, authorizations. 9A, minutes 6/17/2025. 11B, BOCES cooperative purchasing participation. 10C, ROC board resolution for 25-26. 11D, employee cell phone approval. 11E, board member conference approval. 11F, board member conference approval. 11G, board member conference approval. 11H, board member conference approval. 11I, legal counsel agreement. 11I, legal counsel agreement. 11J, sports mergers. 11K, special education. 11L, resolution for disposal of personal property. 11M, resolution for the disposal of personal property. And 11N, BOCES 25-26 transportation contract. May I have a motion, please? Who made the motion? Second. Is there any discussion or
Who made
any?
a second?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Is there any discussion or any items that anybody wants out of that consent agenda list to talk about further?
The only thing I changed was 10C was supposed to be 11, the ROC board resolution.
I'm sorry, Karen, which one?
It said 10C, but it was supposed to say 11C.
Yes, in item 8A, the meeting dates.
Yep.
Are we not supposed to be in Wilmington this coming year for the budget?
Isn't it in September?
I'll fit this for the budget year.
For the
Oh,
budget year?
yeah.
This is our year for, we were tossing the ship.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
I'll just add to that meeting date to, respond to.
Any other items that anyone wants to pull out to discuss further? If not, please vote.
Seven, yes.
Probably thank you for that time. Stuff. That's important.
It is.
And I will say you'll bring back what's, it's.
I will tell you the law conference one that I did last year that I'm repeating because things have changed. It was a lot. I tried to bring back little snippets of it, but there was a lot of information in that. And I'll move that theme this year. So let me see. We're moving into section number 6, reports. And the treasury report. Over to Dana.
Sure.
Thank you.
This is as of the end of June. See operating funds, 133,000 there. Both of our reserves are in the unrestricted cash, $8.5 million that are restricted reserves in my class, and $2.8 million. So with that, we finished the school year off with a pretty healthy balance. Is typical of where we are, and it sets us up nicely to get us through the first few months of the school year. There's aid coming in and property taxes coming in, so we're allowed to continue paying our bills. Don't have to worry about borrowing money to pay our bills for property taxes coming in. Not a typical cash receipt. We brought in about $319,000. We had about $2.3 million go out. Yeah, that is typical when our revenue comes in. So that's nothing. when you look at it, it's all said and done, you know, we're still sitting at about $9.4 million sitting in our various accounts and generating the interest. That's a good thing. It allows us to help offset things when it comes to revenue shortfalls. That's I'll say it still looks pretty healthy. Questions?
Operations report. I believe that Ryan's going to share the safety plan review meeting. Thanks, Ryan.
So I had a chance to go to the safety plan review meeting with Mr. Seymour, local law enforcement, all the people in the school, transportation, Ms. Corson, very maintenance, and great discussion. It was a great half hour, 45-minute meeting. Tim gave a presentation with the Altair study that we conducted with the security firm. And honestly, the consensus around the table was that we are a very healthy and secure, so I'm very safe. So a lot of new things coming down the pipe from the state. Trooper Amber was here and examined his ideas, which is awesome. You know, where there's an explorer to talk about some new ideas about some stuff out of the firehouse, you know, helping out more. But all in all, Mr. Seymour did a great presentation, and everybody around the table had a lot of great things to do, and are very happy with where we're going as far as it.
Great. Great.
Jim, do you have anything else?
No, it was good to convene with everyone. We'll certainly hear more about the contents of the safety plan in August when we review at our hearing. But New York has changed the terminology for the different safe moves that are made throughout the day. So will be an educational component for staff this year. Ready?
What's the calendar on that? We have the
August 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we put our 30-day notice out earlier this year.
so that
So August 12th will be our hearing at the start of the meeting.
then it becomes a document.
Then it becomes re-adopted, and we're constantly under the authority of the document. It's just it needs to be reauthorized prior to September 1st.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We can go to the superintendent's report. Thanks, Tim.
Sure. So let's just start off with a very memorable graduation. They certainly are all at the Oval, but this one was one for the books in terms of just making sure that it came off and that the weather held for us all. And we're very fortunate to have left the venue in good order. It was a very well-functioning event. A couple of things that I wanted to draw attention to is just how grateful we are for the help that we received from Florida staff. We had chair upgrades that were used for the community this year that really made I think the event look pretty polished. The previous chairs have been stowed for decades, so they've heard quite aged. We had good oversight of the event from Ms. Lindsay, and our keynote speaker, Don Moody, did a wonderful job. Our valedictorian spoke at length about the importance of kindness. She did really have a memorable speech. So all told, it was a very good event. I'm grateful that all the board members were able to attend last year's board, so thank you for that. And just a few items that came to the fore. One was Doug had the keen eye to realize just how narrow the risers are for our students at graduation. So we're looking at getting some wider ones so their most watch walk in their 18 years won't be the most embarrassing. Thanks for catching that, Doug. And we're also looking at, given how close it was to a potential rain delay or any change, what it would take impact-wise to move our indoor setting back to the outdoor. So, should have some more insights into that over the next few months, but all told, graduation was fantastic. We're switching into summer mode, so the district has a few areas where we're particularly busy in summer. The first has to do with the different programs that are run through the district or in concert with the district. So we have our extended school year program. That's for students who receive additional minutes of services, special education. We have our summer school that takes place in the elementary school and the middle high school. And we're also the venue site for Camp Plastic this year, so very busy. We also play host to a variety of events. So the Oval has been both the Camp Plastic location of late, and it's where the farmers market is this year. So I was able to attend Wednesday. The farmers market and Camp Plastic was there as well, and music playing, and the whole thing was very North Rockville. So it was quite idyllic. Happy to provide that for our kids. We have other events, obviously, that are about to transpire. Iron Man is taking foot across the way here, so we'll be preparing for the race on the 20th, and then he impacts to the school. And we've also been in professional development mode. So last week of June, we had 6 of our teachers complete our therapeutic crisis intervention for schools for TCIS training. That's a full training where staff learn de-escalation techniques and different ways to intervene in the event that a student is escalated safely. That was conducted by Amy Gotham and Jennifer Tugg. Thanks to Amy and Jen for that, and for Sarah and Alan for organizing that. And then this is the time where we also take stock of how the previous year went, both in terms of how our students performed, but also how the year was perceived by our different shareholders. So we're in the process of shoring up all of our reports, which will be presented at our next meeting, about our student performance on their exams, and our staff, student, and parent surveys. So looking forward to identifying the areas where we've grown and coming forward with some ideas and areas that we can continue to grow. And then we're also in the administrative planning phase. So the admin team began planning for some summer in earnest today, and we'll be continuing up until the start of school in early September. So some priority areas that we're looking at is making sure that we implement as many of the security recommendations that we received from Alteris in the report last year. Trying to find ways to improve communication strategies with families, so we have some good ideas related to that. There's some new policy updates that we'll need to push out, and then we have our traditional factors. On the broader scale, I'm sure the board has seen some of the email traffic related to things happening in Albany and the federal government, but distraction-free schools is a predominant item of discussion right now. So in the last legislative session, the governor did mandate that schools eliminate cell phones bell to bell in the school day. And schools must have having a policy to that effect by September 1st. So I just like to applaud the board for being ahead of the curve and making summer a little bit easier for us this year and having completed that task last year. So it's very encouraging. And then just another note, there's been quite a bit of discussion about some of the federal funds, the title funds that have been suspended in their disbursement from the U.S. Department of Education. New York State Department of Education has sent out quite a bit of correspondence on this to the schools. I've included a fair amount for the board to look at your convenience. Just an overview about the different title areas, and also just an identification of the areas that of the funds that are being suspended to date and the extent to which that may be an impact for the district. I will say that we, as a district, are always hopeful that we receive all the funding sources that we are entitled to. But initially, our biggest concern has just been that some of the subsidiary services we rely on, particularly around English language learning, instruction, and professional development, those appear to be in a bit of an unknown territory in terms of funding. And so our plans to have some English language learning professional development from the regional biliteracy network in Albany, which is funded through Title III funds that are suspended. We're having to delay that professional development because they don't know if there's funding for those types of services. So it's a little bit of a hiccup in our planning, but we've already identified some alternatives that might have significant impact on our students and staff. Otherwise, we are in a wait and watch and remain hopeful period with regards to federal funding, and a lot has been packed in a few weeks since graduation. So also good things.
Tim? Moving on to information with the board, there are some items under the public content. It just talks about the different conferences that are available this summer, including the new school board member governance. There's various choices there for people to register for, and then the big convention, which is in October in New York, which also offers a virtual option for people that probably can't away from their positions here. But the board meeting dates for BOCES is there, extracurricular activity report is there, and an internal audit report from Andrea Berry. There also are some items in the executive content. If you have not already, please take a moment at some point to read through those. Okay, we are moving on to section 7, the policy review and first reading code of conduct. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tim. Thank you.
So this is the time of year where our policies that are required for annual review come up. So in terms of the traditional ones, that's the code of conduct, as well as our investments, purchasing, attendance, free and reduced risk meal services. So of all of these policy reviews, really the only one with any substantive changes this year has to do with the code of conduct. So our code of conduct hearing is slated for our next meeting. But whenever we have a policy change, seek out at all possibilities to have 2 readings of policy so that there's an opportunity for any questions or clarification. So the areas that pertain to changes in our code of conduct will be presented at the hearing next meeting, relate first to the dress code. So you can go to 7B. You see in there's some specific language that recommending we add to our dress code. It has to do with the wearing of jackets. It says that a student must not wear outerwear during school day while inside the building. Outerwear refers to clothing designed to be outerwear refers to clothing designed to be worn. I think that's a type of, yeah, so I'm glad this is our first opportunities. Worn outdoors for warm or professional weather. This includes but is not limited to coats and jackets, winter coats, rain jackets, windbreakers, and parkas. All jackets and outerwear must be stored in student lockers for designated areas. Upon arrival, it may not be worn during indoor class time in hallways or common areas. So that terminology, the way that it's written is designed. We do have classes that go outside, so we're really just drawing a hard line in regards to indoor class time. And I mean, primarily the impetus for this is just the schools got that comfortable temperatures, so the jackets provide an opportunity for concealment. So in the name of safety, security, I'm recommending that we add this provision to ensure that. That is the main substantive change with regards to dress code. Any questions about the dress code? Comments or suggestions? Okay. The next area has to do with our corporal punishment section of the code of conduct. And I'm recommending that we add additional language identifying when physical restraint is and when it is legally allowable. So adding in the following language: corporal punishment does not include the use of physical restraint to protect a student, another student, teacher, or any other person from physical injury, when alternative procedures and methods not involving the use of physical restraint cannot reasonably be to achieve these purposes. And then there's all at the end, the authorized use of timeout and physical restraints is addressed in policy 12 and the accompanying resolution. So this language really should be incorporated here. There's a clear delineation of when corporal punishment, all corporal punishment is obviously not allowed in the school setting, but having a clear delineation between corporal punishment and necessary restraints. So in my report, I alluded to the 6 staff members that received the TCIS training, and that training is in the service of ensuring that if a restraint needs to happen for the safety of the student, that it's done in the safest way possible. So that isn't that students. A previous policy 2 years ago also included language that said that restraint may be used to protect the district property. Since that time, we've amended the policy on certain changes in the law. So the only basis for that now, for physical restraint of the student, is for the safety of that student and his friend, not the property. Any questions, concerns, or comments related to that provision?
Is there a time in which you call the police?
So there could be a time, and a lot of that depends, it's more in our timeout restraint policy. But there are certain students have behavioral plans that will follow, and then we have our timeout room, where we log our time, if a student has escalated, how long they can be in there before they escalate to a different level, higher the level, the different response. Students can be escalated to a level where they're unable to de-escalate in the appropriate amount of time. We don't want students in a timeout room for an exorbitant amount of time in the neighborhood, more than 30 minutes. And so at that point, then parents are called, their guardians to come and get the student. We're unable to de-escalate them. But if a matter is beyond the capacity of district staff to de-escalate, and it's imperiling others, then it's within our power to contact them first. And then the final regulation. Is that just for reference here? Yes. So the regulation is just for reference and just as a means to just reassert that when the district adopts policies, the board sets forth those policies, and then it is my task to ensure that those policies are fulfilled, and that is done through creating regulations. So this is the accompanying regulation for the code of conduct. That would be released next meeting. Those are the changes we proposed in our policies today.
Thank you, Tim. Moving on to item 8, the action items, all A through F were previously under consent. 9A minutes is also under consent. We're moving on to personnel, category 10. Recommended action approve the following items, which are included in the consent agenda. 10B, department leader appointment. 10C, CSEA staff resignation. 10E, long-term teaching staff appointment. 10F, creation of civil service position. 10G, creation of civil service position. And 10H, CSEA title change. Okay, have a motion, please.
I have a question about, I guess it's 10 F, G and H. I just want to, I guess, clarify myself. So Kelson is, are we creating that other position and then he just moving into it, or is he, are we hiring 2 people and keeping Kelson and he's getting a different title, I guess? So we're gonna have 3 possible bus drivers plus school employees. Is that?
Good question. So this is an amended title to the contract that has additional job duties, which can hopefully de-escalate some of our lack of
Yep.
productivity, right? So our intent is if people in existing titles want to transition into this one, then once they met the driving criteria, they would then be an additional option for us.
Gotcha. And then for the new positions, I know the policy at the village is that it's now course actually, like, I think it's like $2,000 to get your CDL. So how does the school work with that with the people that they're hiring? Do we just cover that, or how does that?
Yeah, we cover the cost of all that right there.
And we have we do online, so we actually, there's a license that we get for the process.
Okay, yes.
Nelson oversees it.
Yep.
Because he's the 19A.
Oh, okay, so.
But he's not the instructor, it is an online class.
Gotcha.
So
That's, yeah, so the village did it different. We have to go take like a schooling class. We didn't do the, well, I guess having an on-site person was a better idea.
well, the class itself is strictly online.
Nelson just oversees it, so if we have a new hire.
Yep.
He basically registers the person, to take this class.
Gotcha.
They take it on their own, takes about 3 or 4 hours, and they go it, and then they are ready to start training on the class.
Very good.
Yes.
So, back, to the motion, we have a motion, please.
Wait,
There is one item that's not in consent, but, Karen, should we go down this? Yes. Okay, please vote. Okay, 7 yes. The one item that is not under consent is recommended action upon recommendation of the superintendent approve the extended maternity leave request of Kelsey Nemec, 6th grade ELA teacher at the middle and high school beginning September 1st, 2025 through January 4th, 2026. This leave is in accordance with Article 19B of the Lake Placid Education Association's contract. And a motion, please.
I mean, motion.
Under any discussion, there is information there under executive content, which somewhat outlines the dilemma that came forward. So in any event, please vote.
Five yes, 2 abstentions.
Yes. Moving into category 11, additional action items. Donation acceptance, recommended action. For the Lake Placid Central School Board of Education Policy 6255, donations, gifts, and grants to the district allows for the superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having a value of less than $1,500. Whereas monies have been granted as follows. John and Patricia Scholarship Fund for a total amount of $5,000 for the John and Patricia Hopkinson Scholarship Fund. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with policy 6255, the Board of Education hereby accepts the check for the John and Patricia Scholarship Fund in the total amount of $5,000. May I have a motion, please?
Yes. So you.
Any discussion other than great thanks? Please vote. I think I have policy 6255. I make it out every night. Policy 6255.
6 yes, 1 abstention, John Hopkins.
10B is under consent. 10C under consent. 10D. Oh, I'm sorry. I got lost in it. It's going back. 11B under consent. 11C. Recommended action, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the resolution for the RIC-1 Risk Operations Center, ROC, for the 25-26 school year regarding data privacy agreements as per the attached resolution.
Colleen, that was in consent.
I didn't see it there.
Yes, it was, remember I said that was the one that changed from 10 to
That
11.
one.
Sorry.
Sorry.
The only other one that's to vote on is
O is O. So all of the rest, D through N, consent. The last one, O, repair fund reserve. Recommended action, see the resolution below. Would you like me to read that?
The reserve.
11O.
Yes.
Want me to read that? Okay. Whereas the Board of the Lake Placid Central School District located in the County of Essex in the state of New York the school district has established a repair reserve fund pursuant to the New York General Municipal Law 16. And whereas the Board of Education has determined that replace the compressor at the Lake Placid Middle and High School freezer is an emergency. And whereas it is intended that monies needed to repair the freezer in the amount of $16,761.21 will not exceed balance in the repair reserve fund. And whereas due to the emergency repair needed on the freezer, a public hearing was not held. Whereas the monies in the amount of $16,761.21 will be replaced in the repair reserve fund in the 2025-2026 school year. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education at the Lake Placid Central School District hereby appropriates $761.21 from the repair reserve fund for the cost of the replacement of the compressor in the freezer at the Lake Placid Middle and High School. May I have a motion, please?
I have one question about that.
Sure.
I read through Mark's quote and it says that we're responsible for pulling it over and putting it going up. Do the guys need any other equipment to do that? Not that I'm aware of. They have the next big maker has the next what they need. You know, issues. They've been trying to fix it.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it over there. So,
Yeah, Dave working on it. Yeah.
gotcha.
Running part.
We just wondering, Christopher, maybe you need a crane or
No,
something.
it says it's like 350 pounds, so I didn't know whatever, they need something to. No idea.
Right, I think, yes, the time comes, Dave will say, oh, by the way.
Gotcha. That's good. Oh, that was it.
So, meeting first. Yeah, a motion. Discussion, is there any other discussion? If not, please vote.
Seven yes.
We have our second good of the cause. Anything, Karen?
No.
Moving into the discussion phase, committee appointments, and under public content, we will see the list of various different subcommittees that are available for individual board members to come forward if they so be. So under executive content, it does say in the past who has filled these roles. Tim, are we looking at that tonight, or are we just putting it out there for people to think
Yeah,
about?
we're just putting it out, but you can see if you look at the attachment in particular, policy, audit, health and safety for building and grounds are three regular committees. And then when needed, we have a shared decision-making committee that we seek representation from the board on. Also, in negotiation years, I will also seek 2, sometimes 3 board members to participate in negotiation. I'm not sure that we have any contract negotiations scheduled this year. So the primary committee that we're going to need new membership for is the policy committee. So our policy committee typically meets twice a year. We do an October, November-ish meeting, and February, March meeting. And additionally, our audit committee is represented by board president, vice president. And our health and safety and buildings and grounds, presently Ryan, now they're serving in that role. And at our next meeting, it would be great to just know board members intend to stay on or shift or step back, all of which are totally permissible.
If we signed up for last year, sign up again.
Every year you have the opportunity to shift, pull back based on where you're at.
Also under discussion, review the board objectives and setting the board objectives for next year. It's typically the same 6 that we deal with, and actually tweak those again. Karen, you provide.
Right, so if you click on, like, say, goal 1, you'll see that, what's been completed. And then at the next board meeting, I will
take all of the goals that we put in there, and I will make it into one Google Doc that I'll share with all the others. You can see that from email, so you can make comments. Is there a date, Karen, that you have in mind that you'd like that finished by?
I think that we generally have that done by the first week in October. So that gives us the August meeting to make comments on it, the September meeting to discuss it, and then the last September meeting to finalize it.
We usually put a board evaluation in there too.
Right, yes, and in October, there's the self-evaluation for it. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move into our first adjournment. Our next meeting date and location is August 12th. We'll have a code of conduct hearing and a district safety plan hearing. Any old agenda topics? Any new ones that we'd like to bring up? John?
2 weeks ago, I was thinking, I feel a lot of having my hands. I thought it would be a good idea to put a new agenda topic, which I call contingency plan. And the reason for thinking that is kind of as follows. This spring, we spent probably innumerable hours putting together budget. The admin group did it. There are a lot of kind of constraints and things that we have to do or not do. We had to make some very hard decisions based on staffing as well as priorities. And it was really an awful lot of work. But part of it eventually got approved by us and community. A lot of assumptions go into putting together that budget, part of which is source of funds beyond the taxpayers. And kind of come to find out that source of funds that we get federal government, state government, they're not huge relative to other parts of the budget. However, what has to do is pick up the newspaper today, see how other people's assumptions chainsaw blown up in terms of staffing, contracts, monies that have been approved that all of a sudden throws. So I thought it would be a good idea, at least so everybody knows, to take a look at what sources of funds do we get from the state, federal government, and what's the kind of order of magnitude and criticality of those that are operations, numerically, strategically. And then would say, what happens if they disappear? They got frozen for an unknown period of time. What are we going to do about it? So that's the planning for the contingency. In other words, we could just say, we're going to take the money out of our fund balance. We could say, delay or drop program, or we're just going to have to kind of live with the situation. But certainly from my point of view, I would like our image in the community, staff, that we really have a class act that we're on top of all this stuff. In other words, we have a plan in place. We know what's going to happen. Something catastrophic happens to some of our citizens. It's not that we're going to get blindsided and we run around and chickens with their head cut off, scrambling for what we're going to do. In other words, we need to know a priori, where are we vulnerable, to what degree, what are we going to do about it? And again, I'm only talking about federal monies, state monies, I'm not talking about the building. stuff like that. And we can just identify small number of high impact items that we might have a vulnerability. And then at least make the board aware so we can actually have part of a public meeting or meet somebody in the grocery store. We can say, yeah, we're on it. You know, we've got our act to do. We're not pushing. Believe challenges, or it's push me. I don't want to be a part of those games. So that's my idea to add a tentative planning item. And just for the next couple of, maybe it's nothing, but I think we need to know. We have to know what our vulnerability is. So that's my idea.
Very good.
Any other new agenda topics?
No, well, I was doing thinking. No, I don't know if I'm allowed to yet, 'cause I'm pretty good for that.
I'll lend you some time.
Okay. I know I believe, switching the role of the community schools coordinator. Is that correct? Yes. So I know Saranac Lake does in the fall when the kids get ready to come back to school, they do the program where they supply backpacks, school supplies and all that. Do we do that here yet? Or have we ever thought about doing that here?
We subsidize some of the materials, we don't do the full thing with,
Okay.
that Saranac Lake things. So
Would we ever maybe think about that with a new person?
it's, yes, all that's predicated on funding.
Gotcha.
So,
I know we're looking at ways to whatever community reach out, and I think that would be a good one. But I know a couple of teachers in Saranac Lake, and talk to them, they say it helps the kids like all be on a level playing field for what they're getting, and that they're all prepared, and there's no like, oh, this kid has bunch of cancer than what I have, everybody sort of ends up with the same stuff. And I think and I see a lot of it through the village from the job I do. There's a lot of kids that could use it here.
so I know plans aren't underway presently for that.
Yep.
I think Saranac Lake starts that process.
Yep.
In the spring.
Yep.
But certainly happy to work with Brendan and
Yeah,
look
just
at what it
something
would
to sort of
cost and see if that's something we could, sure.
get involved with.
Is there like open house plans? You know, I guess that can be kind of tied into. I know it's, you know,
So-
months away, but
Yes, well, for this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose anything is possible, it's just there's no plans present to make it happen. So we probably need to get a sense of what the cost would be and what the benefits before we try to initiate that. We do have open houses planned, for the start of the school year. We have a Walker Day, the end of August for the middle high school. We have our open house on September 3rd for the elementary school, and September, let's say 7th. So, and we do some providing there, like, so we provide food for families, we provide, some of the materials, and every new student in the district gets, water bag freezer each year, so. But we don't do the full complement. So it's certainly something we can look at. I'm happy to report on that. Session.
Anything else in the agenda? And our last item, recommended action motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of certain personnel. May I have a motion, please?
Who is the second?
Thank you. Please vote.
Seven, yes. That won't work.